All right. Well, Rebecca, I am just so honored, like I said, to have you back on the show. I think you're the first that I've had for a second time, and I know this is probably not going to be the last time either. So today, especially, I'm excited to bring you on because I know you have two big announcements that is happening this month of September. So before we jump into that, for those that don't know you, I would love if you could share a little snippet of maybe a couple sentences of who Rebecca used to be in the past and now who she is and what you do for those that don't know you.
Wow. Well, thank you. And I'm so honored that I'm like your
Yeah.
coming on for a second time. Thank you so much. Okay. So Rebecca Louise before was stressed out, a party goer, just like all over the place, emotional wreck, didn't have direction in her life, to now leading millions of women to having better health, fitness, and changing your mindset. And really that's the biggest thing that I am working on right now is, that mindset and allowing people to level up their life and the grit that it's going to take to get there. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
It's so amazing. Well, since we did an episode before, I know that anybody that isn't quite familiar and wants to know more of your story, I'm going to just tag this in the show notes, your previous episodes, so people could get to know more about you, your story, and kind of your journey, because it's been quite a journey, and you've served in many different areas in your life, and you've experienced so many different things. So I want people to learn more about you. But since we're talking on this episode about two big excitements, one of them is your book, and those that are looking at this right now, I just received her first book, which is It Takes Grit. So I'm super excited to dive into this, but I also want to ask you, so what is coming September 12th?
So September 12th, we are doing a live virtual event. I know that you and I both did the Tony Robbins UPW. So think about that, but like a girls' day. And so we've got 10-foot high LED screens, 120-degree view. We got a stage. We're going to be doing a workout session together where everybody can see each other on the screen. So I feel like right now, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling like I need connection. I'm desperate to get in a room with somebody. So I wanted to create an event that just lifted people up, got them to connect with like-minded people, and we did some mindset and meditation work. So the whole day, it's 4 hours. It's going to be unbelievable, so much fun, working out together. We're going to do mindset. We're going to do meditation. There'll be breakout rooms where the girls can be able to talk to each other and interact and just find their new bestie. In times like this, it really pushes our buttons and tests us and finds out who our real friends are, I feel. And we might need to step into that, creating a new environment for ourselves or creating a new friendship group. So I am so excited, and we're going to have so much fun as well. I want it to be fun. We're going to have dance parties. There's going to be flashing lights. There's going to be the meditation section. There's going to be the workout section. There's going to be, the process of getting your life from where you are right now and where you want to go. So we're going to be doing a lot of inner work, but I'm just excited to see, and for everybody else to see everybody's faces on the screen, and just feel like they're in a room, because I feel like that's what we all really need right now.
I love that. It sounds so remarkable. And so it's 4 hours, but it sounds like a lot in 4 hours. So I know you talked about doing the breakout rooms, and since we both experienced the UPW, what was so amazing, even though it was virtual, it's amazing the connection you feel with the community, because you do see everybody's faces, and also you feel kind of the momentum and the energy around you, because you see the faces and people getting really into it and dancing and whatnot. And then the breakout rooms, which I think is really fascinating, is that you actually get switched into this virtual Zoom room and you get to have one-on-one conversations or conversation with a group. And it does really connect you with other individuals that you normally wouldn't connect with. So it sounds really remarkable. And I'm just so proud of you for putting this together. I mean, so how many people are expected to join this, or what's the cap that you're?
Well, we have 1,000 tickets for our VIPs. And if you're a VIP, you can actually get yourself on the screen. But if you still want to be involved, there's still general admission tickets. And I think we have a couple of thousand of those. So they're going like crazy. I have to say, I'm so overwhelmed with the response, but I feel like people just want to meet new people. They want to have something fun. They want to have something exciting to look forward to. And I love the breakout rooms. Like, you're going to meet people that you would never get to meet before. And you'll be able to talk about things to a stranger and realize that they're probably going through the same thing as you. And it's not going to make you feel like you're crazy and you're going through this by yourself. It's there to connect you and to realize that, you know, we're all going through this together.
Absolutely. And I think it's amazing that you're one of the top fitness experts, and to train with you and to do the workout with you will just be amazing in general. And I know you do that on a normal basis. You have a community where you train with them and have live trainings and everything. So this is a way to get into your house. I'm assuming are you doing this at your home?
No, this is a studio in Los Angeles. No, we're going like full out. This is a huge studio in LA,
Amazing.
120 degree, 10-foot high LED screen. So with, I think, 6 cameras, a whole production crew, like, yeah, I was like, I want to do what Tony did, because the impact that he made and the changes and the shifts that he was able to create for people, I was like, I need to be able to serve that for my community.
I absolutely love that. Well, I will be there. Most definitely. I'm so excited. And of course, we can't forget to mention another thing that you're launching. I know you said I'm one of the first to get this amazing book, which is such a good read. I'm really excited about this, and we're going to jam about this a little bit. But when is this officially coming out? What's the launch date of your book, It Takes Grit?
So It Takes Grit comes out on the 15th of September, 2020. It's already available for pre-sale right now. And if you do join the event, you get a free signed copy of the book as well. So, you know, it's really together, because the event is called I've Got Grit. And we want to allow people to kind of be part of this journey and be part of the book and feel like, you know, they belong to something. So, you know, we're doing the book on the book event is on the 12th of September, and then the actual book comes out on the 15th. But I believe that some people are going to start to get them pretty soon, which is really exciting.
That's so great. You know, I'm recalling this conversation we had when we first did our first episode. We were talking, actually it was right when COVID started. So I think our conversation was in March, I believe. And you were actually, I won't go too much into this because I want people to listen to your previous episode, because we dived a lot into this, but you were actually scheduled to do Mount Everest. That of course got canceled, as everything around the world. And then also you were going to do a huge, massive book tour. And you had this whole preparation. It was actually, if I'm correct, you were going to shuttle around the United States doing this book tour. And then that changed. And so what is so amazing, and I want people to really recognize this, what's so amazing about Rebecca is that she completely pivoted. And instead of looking at the loss of not being able to do her book tour, she came up with this brilliant idea of how could she serve others and actually create this event virtually and kind of do this book tour, but serving so many more than you actually probably could have traveling around the United States for a couple months, right? So it's just amazing. Obviously, you looked at the positive ways that you could actually help others or serve others and make a big impact. So it's remarkable.
Well, I appreciate that. And it really, I did have a moment where I didn't know where I was. And I feel like a lot of people over the last 6 months have felt a little bit unsure. And I felt a bit miserable for about 24 hours. And then I was like, I've got to
24
pivot.
hours.
Yeah, it was, it's funny because if you'd asked me this 7 years ago, it would have been 24 days, right? You know, like I've grown, I've changed. And it's not like to say that those things didn't affect me. But I think what happened is as soon as I found out that I wasn't going to be able to go to Mount Everest, I had a period of 24 hours where I was like, well, what am I supposed to do now? And I feel like loads of people have had that same feeling over the last 6 months. Like, well, what now? And I was a little bit, at the beginning, I was like, okay, no problem. And then I was lost. I was like, I knew my plan for 2020, like all of us did. We had a plan. I knew I was going to climb Mount Everest, and I was going to have my book at the top. Then I was going to go on this amazing book tour around the USA on this giant bus. And then I remember coming back from a workout class and actually crying because I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I got back and I could see all these things kind of going online. And I was like, I need to pivot like ASAP and see what I can do to deliver. And honestly, from that moment, I have not stopped working. I have not taken a day off because I have just full pivoted in like, okay, how can we do more live workouts? How can we get a new app? We just had a new app that came out. Like, how can we now serve people? How can we get people excited about a book? How can we get people together? And I feel like I just pivoted so fast and that I didn't even really think about anything. It was just like, I just had to adapt. And so I feel like when you just adapt and you go for it, it allows that time, that 24-hour period to be 24 hours rather than that 24 days.
I love that. And this is the whole, I mean, your whole thing is it takes grit. And that's exactly what it did for you, you know, grit and perseverance to go after whatever you wanted to achieve in this, in launching your book and serving others and getting, you know, the masses to do workouts during COVID and stay fit and trim, you know, which everybody needed. So you served the community quite well, which is impressive. And so let's dive into your book. I'm really excited to talk about this. So, like I said, I went through a good portion of the book, and I think it's impressive. What I love so much about it, and I'll just give my personal opinion, is that it's great to pull out the really powerful things you put in there. So pull out, like if you don't have time to read the book, you know, let's say you're not one of those that likes to spend their time reading, it's really easy to skim each page and just pull out these nuggets, and it's easily, you know, you could easily implement it in your life. And you also have a 30-day challenge in here, and there's so much goodness, so much goodness. So let's dive into this. So I know as we talk about, the book is really to help us level up in our lives and transform our mind and body to get the results we desire. So the first chapter in your book, right out of the gate, you mentioned that it takes action before motivation. So can you explain this?
Yeah, so one of the biggest questions that I get all the time is, how do you get motivated, Rebecca? How do you get motivated? How do you stay motivated? And you don't just wake up one day like, boom, I've just got all of the energy in the world. I'm just ready to tackle the world. What happens is that when you take action, when you take the very first step, I have a tattoo on my foot that says every step counts. So just make that first step, because what that action does is it creates results. And when you get results, you get more belief. And when you get more belief, you get more motivated. You know, if you start going to the gym and you're eating healthy and you're losing weight and you're feeling good, you've got more energy, you're going to be motivated to do it, to keep on going, because you're seeing results. And then the belief of what you're doing, the action that it's taking, is actually going to give you more motivation. You know, if you're just waiting for something to happen, to something to motivate you, and you're just sitting down, that's never going to happen, because it's going to happen, first of all, by you taking that first action. I hear a lot of times people say that they feel stuck, right? And that kind of stuck and unmotivation kind of comes, you know, I'm motivated, I feel stuck, it comes together. But being stuck is just the fact that you've stopped. You've just stopped moving. It doesn't matter which direction, like move backwards, at least you're moving, right? Then you won't feel stuck. Because sometimes we have to say we have to take, you know, 2 steps back to take 1 step forward, right? We've heard that before. You know, maybe it's left, maybe it's right, it's forwards, it's backwards. But as long as you're moving, you're not going to feel stuck. And if you're not feeling stuck, you're not going to feel unmotivated. So the first thing that you need to do is, if you want to feel more motivated, is get up and go and do the thing that you need to do. And then that's going to give you the results, and it's going to give you the belief. And the more belief that you have, the more motivated you're going to feel.
I love that. And, you know, the other day I was doing some podcasts, social media share template edits, if you want to say, and for so long, I wanted to revise my template, but I felt like, oh, that's going to take too much time. So, I won't do it. And I avoided it for some time. This is like when you were talking about 2 steps back, 1 step forward, makes me think of this. So I actually spent more time to edit it, to make it exactly how I wanted. And now that I have it there, even though that took more time to do and it felt like going backwards, now I'm able to be happy with what I have and go forward with that. And so now I feel like I just took 2 steps forward. You know what I mean? So I completely agree that no matter what, if we're continuing to move forward, then we're at least creating some sort of momentum for ourselves, and that will keep us motivated. So I love that. And what would be tips and suggestions you would say to stay on track during those times that you aren't feeling motivated or inspired to take the next steps?
Yeah, so I talk about how to set goals and crush them, because a lot of people set goals, right? But then how do you crush the goal? How do you actually go through it? And you have to be organized. You know, so if you want to stay motivated, you want to stay on track. For me, this is what I do, and this is how it works. And I am very true to my word. I think that's the one thing that you have to do, is you have to be accountable for yourself. So put it down onto paper. So I set my goals by putting everything that I want to achieve, or everything that I want to do on a piece of paper. Like I write it all down, right? I want to create this course. I'm going to go on this vacation. I want to take my family here, like all of the things. And then what I'll do is I'll say, right, when realistically is that going to happen over this next 6-month period? And I work 6 months out. Now, yes, I have my 1-year goal and my 2-year goal and the 5-year goal, but let's just start off by knowing what we're going to do in the next 6 months, because things change, right? Especially we've learned this year, things do change, so you're going to have to adapt. And then you might not love that idea anymore, or you might want to change it, or something else might be working. So what I do is I have my next 6 months out. I've got all of my list of everything that I want to do or achieve or go or do or experience, and I'll put it into each month. Which month am I going to do it in? Which is great. You're like, okay, I know which month. That's not what's going to really help you, because you can put that off until the end of the month. It could be the 28th, the 29th, the 30th, and you still haven't done it. So what you have to do is, with those goals, you then have to schedule it. I use Google Calendar on my phone because it sends you a notification and says, hey, in 10 minutes time, you're supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z. So I will literally schedule it into my calendar. So I want to create this 4-week inner transformation program, right? Okay, I want it to launch on here, but when do I need to set it up by? And so I'll put it in my Google Calendar so I know that's what I'm supposed to do. So if you're looking to work out, if you're looking to eat healthy, it's like, hey, these are the times that I'm going to work out, all right? Sending me my 10-minute reminder. I need to do that. And you just follow the instructions on your phone. You follow what it's telling you to do, right? Hey, I need to meal prep now. Not the next day. You don't put it back. You decide exactly what you need to do. And then taking it to the next step is that I use an app called Things, which is the Things app. It's great. And it just has a list of the things that you need to do that day. So, have you done your 10,000 steps? Have you drunk X amount of water? Have you done these things? Because if you break it down to the daily things that you need to do, you will reach those goals. So first thing I do is write down all of the goals that you want to do, then put it in your Google Calendar, exactly the time and the date that you want to do it, and follow through. And then use your Things app as the daily things that you need to do to get to that point. And that's literally how I set my goals and how I crush them and how I stay on track. Because I think that if you are not organized and you don't know when you're supposed to be doing what, and everybody's got a busy life, you've got all these things going on, if you don't have that laid out and you don't and all you have to do then is follow through. Like I can give you all the tools. I can tell you to do this. I can tell you to go on the Google Calendar. It will work, but then you guys have got to actually take the action and do it. And then you're going to get motivated because you're like, I've got a plan. I understand that if I execute my plan, I'm going to get the results that I want.
Yeah. And as you know, humans love progress. And I completely agree. When I think for so long, I didn't really set I only had a calendar for my podcast recordings and the time I work. Everything else wasn't scheduled. And I realized I wasn't getting as much done as I can. And I know for myself as well, when I don't have progress, I feel like, oh, I'm not getting where I want to get. I'm not doing all the things I want to do. And it really makes a difference. So let's talk about this. So one thing that I really believe in is a morning routine. Master your mornings, master your days, master your days, master your month, and so forth. And I completely agree that's essential. So what is your morning routine?
All right. So my morning routine has really evolved over time. And I think that you do as things become more important and you change things around. So for me, when I wake up in the morning, I love to put on therapeutic music. I like calming to something that's just enjoyable to listen to. So I feel like you need the things of the sound, the touch, the taste, setting an environment up for yourself, because the last thing that you want to do is grab your phone and see an email or see something that's going to, piss you off basically, right? Because then you're setting yourself up for a failure of day. So I have incense that I love. I use an alarm clock that wakes you up gently. And it has the birds chirping, and it has light that actually, gets brighter as the minutes go open. So I feel like that, how you wake up is so important. If you're just using the normal alarm on your phone, that's that, that's already getting you startled for the morning. So it's okay, let's wake up calm and peacefully. I come downstairs, I make my breakfast, always have my breakfast within 30 minutes of waking up. Because that's so important for me to fuel my body. If I don't have fuel in my body, I'm feeling hungry, I'm feeling agitated, I'm getting stressed, I'm getting irritated more often. So that's, for me, that works with my body. And then I'll maybe read a couple of pages of a book, just something small, just to get my mindset, or listen to a podcast. Just 15, 20 minutes, nothing over the top crazy, but I've got my incense going, I've got my music going, my dogs have been fed, they're outside, whatever. And then I'm going to go straight to my phone, and I'm going to go through anything that isn't like necessary to get through. Because for me, I get a little bit agitated when I can't look at my phone, or I'm just like making sure that something isn't time sensitive. So when you do run a business, you need to double check things and see if it's all going right. So, and I'm the main person of my business. I don't have, like a full business partner, right? So I go through, double check that there's anything I need to do. And if anything is not time sensitive, then I'll just leave that and I'll go and work out. I like to work out in the morning. By the end of the day, I'm done. Like, I'm just not very unlikely to go work out in the evening. I like to do it in the morning. And recently we've been doing so many lives and extra filming for workouts that I've just basically been getting my workout in as I film. And so that's my typical morning routine. Does it always go to plan? No. I like to try and write in my gratitude journal. I have the 5-minute journal, which is amazing. We also have that feature coming to the app as well, which I'm really excited about, because I think that's a huge thing that people need to just tap into a little bit more about, instead of getting so competitive or comparison during the day. If you start off with a gratitude journal and you finish it with that day, you're more focused and intentional on what's happening in your life rather than what's happening in somebody else's around you.
Yeah. What is that alarm that you use? Because I want to use that, because I do use a somewhat pleasant sound on my phone to wake me up, but I've been looking for the best app to wake me up more peacefully.
So it's actually like an actual alarm clock, and it will get brighter. I think it's like a Philips one or something. I'll take a photo and I'll send it to you, but it is a game changer. And you can it literally makes your whole room like bright, but like not in a weird, like horrible fluorescent way, but just in like a nice calming way. And then it has little birds chirping, and I love it.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think it's super important. And actually you talked about, and I noticed this was one thing in your book. So a lot of people, of course, know about intermittent fasting, and a lot of people swear by it. A lot of people do it. But then there's people like you and I that, I at least read in your book that intermittent fasting is an option, but you personally don't do it. Like you said, you wake up and you'll eat and it works for you. So I think that's important for people to hear, is that do what works for you. If your goal is to possibly lose weight, I know a lot of people have been using the intermittent fasting as a good tool to lose weight. But if you're looking to have a little bit energy before you work out and all these things, eat something small or whatever it may be. So I think it's important that people know that we should do what works for us and try different things, and depending on our goal, do that, right?
Yeah, like an intermittent fasting is you will consume less calories if you're eating in a shorter period of time. But there's no person telling you that you won't eat less calories in that certain amount of time. You still can, you still can consume those amount of calories. So if you can, manage your calories over the day and eat the same amount of calories that you would over the day, then you're still going to lose weight, because at the end of the day, it's calories in and calories out. It doesn't matter when you eat during the day. It just matters of how many calories that you're actually having. And so if you want to lose weight, but the thing is if you really take down your calories, when you go back to eating normally, you're going to put the weight back on again. So any diet, I don't like using the word diet, because the first 3 letters of diet is die. I think you need to find something you can do forever. And if you love intermittent fasting and you can do it forever, great, no problem. I want to be able to have brunch with my girlfriends. I want to be able to, have food in the morning when I wake up if I want to. I want to be able to have that choice. I don't want to be restricted. Now, I suffer with an eating disorder, so asking me to restrict and do things, it's not going to be healthy for my brain. And so for me, I like to have breakfast. I like to eat in the morning, and it helps my brain. It helps with my focus. And so, I want to be able to do something that I can do with forever. So that's how I feel.
I completely agree. I think it's about having a lifestyle plan that you can sustain and that you could love. You'll actually enjoy what you're doing, opposed to feeling restricted of this timing. But again, to each is their own. So, well, I know you and I are completely in line with having healthy habits. So I would love if you could share, what are your, let's say, top 5 healthy habits that have really shaped and changed your life that you could share?
Well, you know what's funny? The first one I'm going to tell you is the people that you hang around, the healthy habit of your friend group or your peer group. Because having the right people around you is the number one healthy habit, right? It's got to be that if you are constantly around somebody who's negative, who's difficult, who's challenging, right? You're going to become that person. And so I was in a toxic relationship, 5, 6, I can't remember how many years ago now, and I had to break out of that friendship group. I had to change. I had to learn, to relearn, to find new friends and to relearn a new way of doing things. And so for my number one thing would be, healthy habit is have a healthy, community around you, people who are constantly wanting to lift you up. Healthy habit number 2, move your body every day. Move your body every day. Like I get it too. Like I'm sitting down in front of my computer a lot at the moment. There's a lot of work going on, but we have to move our body. It's great for our mental health. It's great for our clarity. It's great for our bones. It's great for everything. I would say number 3, one of my healthy habits is, and again, this is something we're all working on, and it's so simple. It's drink more water. Right? If you want to lose weight, if you want to improve your skin, if you want to improve your mental clarity, again, like you need to be able to consume enough water to make that happen. So definitely water. And again, I write it in the book. I'm like, this is something that I'm always struggling with. Like it's something that I forget in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, bed. I'm like, I've hardly drunk any water today. Like what is going on? So I almost feel like if someone can invent a drip feed for me, like that would be amazing.
That would help.
I need like a backpack on all the time with a water bottle. Healthy habit number 4 would be about social media. Actually, it's just restricting your time that you are spending on social media and comparison. Because comparison will literally eat you alive. It's okay to have that competitive nature in you, because that's what makes you an entrepreneur. So often it makes you want to kind of be better. But just recognize like where you were before and like where you are now. Rather than comparing yourself to somebody else, just compare yourself to yesterday. And it's a natural thing that's inside of us because it's so in our face right now. Like, it's social media, it's so obvious. Like, 50 years ago, there wasn't that kind of attention on everybody. It was different. So, number 4 is definitely with that healthy habit is restrict your time on social media. If you're feeling like you're following people that you're, in comparison with, then just unfollow them, right? Just respect how your body and how your brain is feeling, and move on from that. And then I think the last one is, having a healthy habit with yourself. Like, how do you feel right now with you? Like, spend time when you can, and don't just try and, it's when I talk to entrepreneurs, it's like, you have to be all in at one point to be successful and to pull something off. So someone said to me, like, what's next for you, Rebecca? Like, where are you at right now? And that the habit is to try and do everything at once, right? It's like, hey, I want to launch this. I want to lose this weight. I want to do this. I want to do this all at once. But to work on yourself and inner self, it needs to be full immersion. Like what Tony Robbins talks about, it's full immersion on that. So if you really want to heal yourself, you really want to change yourself, like you really want to grow and you want to discover yourself again, like you need to block off, like I said in your Google Calendar, like days where you go somewhere, you get mentorship, it's something actually happens to you. And you're making a habit of, every 90 days, checking in with yourself. How am I feeling? Am I aligned? Am I aligned in my relationships? Am I aligned in my goals? Am I aligned with everything? Because if you feel like you're not aligned with something, what's going to happen is that you're going to project this energy that's not your true self, and also just not the best for you as well. So I would say that they're my 5, at this stage, my 5 top healthy habits for you.
Yeah. They're good. They're really good. And actually, so talking about relationships, I'm curious, before your personal development journey that you've been on, what were relationships like then, and how, through your journey of personal development, how did you shift out of, toxicity or not being in line with certain relationships? How did everything change after your journey of personal development?
Yeah, so when I first was introduced, and it's funny because the nutrition company I work with, our philosopher is Jim Rohn. So when I got introduced to the nutrition company, I didn't realize that everything was built on Jim Rohn, which is the mentor of Tony Robbins. And so Jim Rohn would speak at our events. He was literally the visionary with the founder. And so I was being exposed to Jim Rohn, and Tony Robbins, which I didn't really realize was Tony Robbins until I went to the Tony Robbins event in December. And I'm like, I can literally finish this man's sentences. Like, why can I finish this man's sentences? It's because I was exposed to Jim Rohn like 7 years ago, and it's heavily in our company. And when we have events, we are listening to when Jim Rohn was on stage with our company, with our CEO, with our founder. And so when I first got introduced to that, it was just another way of thinking. And at the time I was in a relationship, and I didn't even really look at what they were doing. I think I was just growing, and I was excited about the future, that we just grew apart. And I take full responsibility in any relationship that has gone wrong or that has not been great, because I'm sure I brought some, negative energy to the relationship, or I'm not the saint all the time. We always have to take responsibility for ourselves. So I think where I am now, and I had to make that decision that I wasn't going to be in that relationship anymore, because it wasn't fulfilling we weren't going to be in the same path. Like, we didn't want the same things, and that's fine. You're not always going to find someone who wants the same values as you or has the same, attitude as you. And so I had to make that decision that we were not going to be the right people together. And as we kind of, shifted apart, I went on to date other people, but I was always just had such a strong idea of the type of person that I was looking for. And now with personal development, I don't ever blame the other person for something. Before I'd be like, well, I felt like this because they did this to me. And I still have to catch myself. I'm like, no, it's you, Rebecca. Like, the only person that you can change is yourself. So if you're constantly wanting somebody else to change or grow and they're not ready for it, there's nothing that you can do. But what you can change is yourself. And what you can do is you can, bring more to the relationship. So before I'd be like, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to wait for them to come to me. And now I'm like, no, I'm going to play full out for 90 days. I'm going to play full out. I'm going to be the best girlfriend I can. And if after that, it's not where I want it to be, then I can fully say that I tried and I did my best. And maybe it's just, we're not meant to be together. And so I think that taking full responsibility is the biggest thing that I've learned with being in relationships.
Amen. That was one of my biggest lessons as well. I remember when this really set in, taking full responsibility. You know how back in the day, our friends used to say to us, girls could really relate to this, that, oh, it's just him. Oh, he just doesn't want a relationship. Oh, that's his problem, his loss. And we never really thought, maybe there's something that needs to change about me. Maybe there's something I'm responsible for. And when that really sets in, that's when your life changes. Because if you take full responsibility of your part in, which is everything that happens in our life, we have a responsibility in. So when we take full responsibility of what's happening, that's empowering, if anything. And then we could actually change what is going on in our life, because we actually acknowledge, like, hey, I have the ability to change this. Now, what am I going to do? So I completely agree. That's one of the biggest lessons. Take 100% responsibility. Yeah. And so if you were to suggest to help us transform our minds and the productivity and get the success we desire to level up in our life, what would be some of those tips that we could implement into our life that really will lead us down the path of success?
I think the one thing that I really talk about is that, and people don't always like this, is they're like, that you have a choice. And people go, yeah, but I don't, because I live here and I can't afford this and this is that. But I'm like, but you have a choice. What if you did have a choice? What if you just took that away and said, I have a choice about everything? And even if you don't like the fact of me saying you have a choice about everything, what if you just believed it for a day? What if you just said, you know what, I do have a choice about everything? Because it will actually open up your world, and you will figure out a way of how you can have a choice. I do get people they can't quite understand this concept. They don't want to embrace it. Just fake it, right? Fake that you have a choice, right? Okay, I don't have a choice I can't move out of the country. Okay, no problem. But how could I? How could I move out of the choice? If I had a choice to move out, how would I choose to do it? And you'll find the solution. So you want to shut it down straight away. And look, you got to keep on going until you find the solution. even if it takes you years and years, right? There's always going to be a solution, or maybe you're the person who's going to make the change, who's going to make that choice available. Have you ever thought about that? You say, hey, that's not a choice right now. Great, go create that choice. Go create that choice for yourself. And if you just live in a state of, I have a choice, I can own this, I take 100% responsibility with zero excuses, right? And you have that choice, your life will just become more open. And instead of just saying, I can't do that because this won't happen to me because of my situation, this isn't possible because of X, Y, Z. All you're doing is you're just constantly telling yourself it's not going to happen. Instead, say, you know what? Screw it. I have a choice. I have a choice. I can do this. Right. Let me just figure out how. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I'm kind of confused. It might be difficult, but just what if? Like, what if you could? Because, Tony Robbins will say, he'll ask somebody a question and they'll say, I don't know. And say, but if you did know, what would you say? And I love that. It's like, but if you did know, what would you say? You would find something. You could find something that you have to say. So I think if you can just go into life knowing that you have a choice about everything, you'll have a lot more opportunities.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great question to ask ourselves. But if we did, what would you come up with? And like you said, you'll find something, right? It's like getting the deeper question or asking good, powerful questions, right? To get powerful answers. So you talked about comparison, and I know that being in the industry you're in and you're all over social media and you've built quite a following. What would you say, because I imagine before you became a fitness expert, a mindset coach, and built everything you have successfully, I'm sure you dealt with a lot of comparison because there's a lot of, fitness coaches out there that are quite successful. So how do you avoid that comparison even today?
Yeah, I mean, right now there's loads of people that do everything that we do. There's always going to be somebody who is more than you. And I think it was actually something that I saw yesterday. You look at Ariana Grande, who has 200 million on Instagram, but you look at Lady Gaga, who's still unbelievable, right? And she has 79 million. And that's a big difference. But think about it. They're both absolutely incredible. And so I think that this is kind of actually what helped my brain yesterday. It's like there's always going to be another level. There's always going to be someone who's better than you. There's always going to be someone who's more talented than you. There's always going to be somebody who is better skilled in that area. And all you can do is make sure that you're putting out the content that you love and that you are being the person that you want to be. And somebody else might look at you and say, oh my goodness, I wish that I was in your shoes. There's a great video. It's like you've got somebody on a bike that says, oh, I just wish I had that car, right? And then you've got somebody in a car that says, oh, I wish I had that, that Rolls Royce. And then you've got someone in the Rolls Royce that's like, oh, I just wish I had that private jet, right? And then someone's got the private, I wish I had that Boeing 747, right? And so wherever you're at, if you're an entrepreneur, you're always going to be like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do, how are they doing this? What are they doing, right? And, I find that as you get bigger, it's actually more challenging to have that comparison, because when you're starting out, there's this excitement, you're just starting, you're growing, so you don't expect anything. But as you start to get, bigger and you grow, and you know what, there's YouTube algorithms and there's Instagram algorithms, and sometimes it just doesn't play in your favor. I've seen so many people recently completely spike on YouTube. I'm doing the same content, I'm doing the same stuff, not seeing the same spike. But it's like, you know what? No problem. I'm also doing a book. I've also got a live event coming out. I've also got other things. So like, you have to look at, comparison doesn't really make sense because you're not on an even playing field. You haven't had the same life as them. You haven't had the same, conversations as them. You haven't got the same people around you. So it's like you're trying to compare against somebody who doesn't have the same as you. And all you can do is look at somebody else as inspiration and be like, oh, they're doing this. Let me test that out. Let me test that out. Rather than being jealous and having that comparison, be excited that they're literally showing you how you can also be the vehicle to help your business as well. Like, oh, this person's figured this out. I'm gonna go and duplicate it and figure out a way to spin it in my own way. In fitness now, no one can copy anybody because everybody's doing the same thing. It's like, who was the real original person, like, to do a butt and, grow your glutes,
Squat.
A squat workout. You know what? It's been done so many times. But I think that if you just focus on your community and the people who are already in it, and then you're there to serve them, And you know, if you're an entrepreneur, you've got natural competitiveness in you that wants you to always striving to be better. But I think that just, you know, knowing who you're serving and appreciating the people who do follow you, appreciating those people rather than constantly wanting to go out and get new followers.
Yeah. And I love it also. I've heard this from somebody else I interviewed mentioning, and I think actually you might have quoted this in your book, is that if they did it, why can't I? Right? It just shows you what's possible, what star you could reach in the sky. And I think that's a great motivator, to be honest, because if this person came from nothing and they developed this success, give it Tony Robbins, for example, why can't you? I don't know. I mean, that's a far reach, but really seriously, why can't you? Just, it comes down to the actions you take, the motivation, the grit. And so let's talk about the grit. So how do we develop more grit?
I think for me, grit is when you get knocked down, getting back up one more time, every single time. And that really is installing in yourself like determination. And you just have to find out your burning desire. Like, what is it that like you can't go to sleep at night without thinking about? And when people are visioning their goals, you might write it down, you might like think about it, but get emotionally connected to the goal. So emotional that when you think about achieving it, it makes you cry. Because when you find that emotional connection and the amount of things, even they talk about manifesting and thinking all of that, but daydream in the middle of the day, daydream, what would it be like if I didn't have to work in this job anymore and I could be full-time here? Or what would it be like if I could take my family to this vacation? Like visualizing, visualize you getting on the airplane, like what the seats look like, what does the villa look like, all of those things, to the point that you get emotional, that you cry. Because when you feel like giving up, that emotion and that grit is going to come out to say like, I can't quit. I need to dig deeper. I need to find that grit inside of me that's going to make me get up one more time. Because universe is just testing you to see how much you want something. So you're walking along, you're all happy, and then boom, universe is like, boom, flying you back. You're like, what is happening to me? And you have two choices. You're like, right, this is the universe testing me. I'm gonna pass the test because I want to keep on going on my journey. Or I'm just gonna be like, oh, poor miserable me. I can't do this. It's too difficult. No, that's when that grit needs to come out and say to yourself, I've got grit. You know, I've got the grit. I can do this. I am able. I need to find that grit inside of me and know that it takes grit. And I think that's one big thing that I put in my book, is that I don't want to sugarcoat things for people and make it seem like it's so easy to be successful. Like you see all these ads on Facebook and people doing, oh, Pinterest, you only need to spend 5 minutes a day with these things, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that is BS. It is absolute BS to be able to buy this course and then all of a sudden all your ads are running great and all of a sudden everything's going to be fine and all these people are going to buy your course. No, it like takes a lot of grit and determination and people rejecting you and people writing negative reviews and people not happy with the product that you've done. But you're like, no, I've just got to keep on going. And if you can find that grit and you get that grit inside of you, you say every single time you feel like quitting, you say, I've got grit, I've got grit, I've got grit, right? I'm just going to keep on going forward. You're going to be successful. Because I say it's not that difficult to be successful, but all people do is they just quit too early.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Absolutely. And I think you talk about this as well in your book, as start now, start any day, start now, just start messy if it has to be. You don't have to have it all together. Just saying yes and just doing it is going to develop confidence and going to develop your grit muscle. And I say this now, I've been wanting to say yes more, just step into the arena, but now I'm saying I need to make conscious yeses, because you don't want to say yes to everything. Be smart with your yeses because you can't do all the things, right? But I do believe in stepping into the arena and just saying yes, because then you're going to start to figure it out. And it's not going to be perfect the first time, but if you start, that's how you're going to develop the confidence and the grit and the determination to then take the next step, right? So I think that's super important, is being able to say yes, even if you might not be ready.
Yeah, and I talk about this a lot, about showing up. And there's 3 ways of showing up for me. There's the first way is just your body's in the room, right? Who's been there when you've been at a family function, you've been at a workout, or you've been anywhere and your body's there, but your mind is like, God, you don't even know where that is, right? But the first step is just getting your body in the room so that other people can see that you're in the room and so that you can go to level 2, right? But loads of people are like, I can't do it. Yes, you can. You have to get your ass in the room, right? That's level 1. Show up with your body. Number 2, bring your brain with you next time, right? Bring your brain with you. It's amazing, right? And you're there mentally, you're there physically, and you've got your brain with you. And it's amazing now you're doing the workout and you're actually focused on the workout, not what's happening, in your relationship outside. You're focused on that task. You're in a personal development conference and you are there, you're taking notes, you're actually physically there, and your mind is there as well. The third way of showing up is show up with your body, with your mind, and then bring somebody with you, because that will create accountability, that will create leaders, and that will create you, having a community of people that you've helped. So I've been to so many events sometimes where I have not wanted to go, or I've not wanted to be on a call, I've not wanted to do something, but I've always showed up. And I think when you say yes to something, saying yes is the hardest part sometimes, right? It's that showing up. Oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I can do it. Is that, say yes, and then just show up. Just don't worry about your brain at the beginning, or if you've got anybody else with you, just get in there, just get started. And then the next time you do it, if your brain arrives with you, great. If not, keep on showing up until it does. And so I remember, my mentors telling me you need to just show up. You just need to get in the room. You just need to be there. And so I think that's one thing that's really stuck with me, is that I've never missed a live, never missed a Zoom call. I've never missed anything, because I just, even if I've been hysterically crying, going crazy, losing my mind. And then flip it out next minute. Hi guys, what's up? It's Greg Louise. Let's go for it. And through my divorce, that's what was happening. And so people don't see the other side. And so my suggestion is, even if it's really hard, trust me, just show up, because the spiral's then going to go up rather than going further down.
I love that. That's such great advice. And I love how you walk it through. And I never really thought about the last step where you say, bring somebody with you, because the accountability, and that helps tremendously. And I think that's exactly what you provide to people, is the group and the platform to hold people accountable and connect with like-minded individuals. And then that breeds success, right? Helps. Well, I know you share in the book, I believe it was 10-step mindset guide to get results. I know we can't go through all of them, but what do you feel is one of the most critical mindset tools?
Well, that's interesting. Yes, the 10-step mindset, it starts off with choice. It starts off with knowing that you have a choice. And then we talk about responsibility, excuses. And I love this. This 10-step was actually originally going to be the full book. But then I had so much other content that it was we're gonna slow that down. But what I do in the book when I'm talking about these steps is I always associate it with a personal story that I've had. So instead of just telling you, hey, you need to take a choice, or you need to take responsibility, it's hey, this is an area in my life where I did take responsibility, or I didn't take responsibility, and this is the outcome. And so I feel that as you go through those steps, and you have to be able to do number 1 to get to number 2, to kind of get through them. And that's how it's worked in the book. So, and it has tasks at the end of each chapter, which makes sure that you know that you have completed and you understand, that part of the mindset work, and that you can go on to the next one. And so when you're reading it, you're not just going to be felt like you're being spoken at. I wanted to show people this is my own personal experience with each of these things. So yeah, the number 1 kind of goes back to that choice, knowing that you have a choice, because if you don't feel like you have a choice, you're not going to take responsibility, right? Because you'll be it's not my fault, right? And I remember listening to, I can't remember who it was now, maybe it was Grant Cardone. He's everything is your fault. If you get rear-ended on a motorway, it's your fault, right? Because you chose to go at that time of day, you chose to go in that lane, you chose to go at that speed, why don't you just take responsibility for it? Because if you do, you're going to be oh, silly me. Instead of being why the hell you got in the, and there's all this craziness, right? So, having that, and people are that's crazy. Why would you take responsibility for that? Because it's going to make your life easier. Because it's going to make your life easier. Just be hey, you know what? No worries. I'll take the responsibility and no problem. So I really do go back to that thing of, having a choice is going to be your ultimate goal.
I love that. Yeah. Well, I know also what you share in your book is recipes, food, meal planning, which I think is important. So I'm kind of curious, are you a meal planner yourself? And because obviously you speak about it, are you a meal planner, and how do you set yourself up to, maybe provide you more time to do more things by meal planning or whatever it may be? What would you suggest?
Yeah, so for me, I don't like cooking. It's not something that I enjoy doing whatsoever. I don't even think I've turned an oven on in about 2.5 years. It's just not something I'm going to spend my time doing. So for me, I get meal prep. I get meal prep delivered to me, and I know that it's just consistent every day. I get 2 meals. I know what I'm eating. It's also more cost effective. Going out for dinner, especially in Southern California, or just getting Uber Eats or something, like it's just not going to be cost effective. So for the last 6 months, I've been having the same meal prep company, and it's not just like, I'm a pescatarian, so it's not just like your fish and your broccoli and whatever. It's like, it's different. It's exciting food. When my boyfriend is home, he will cook. He's a really great cook, and he actually enjoys it. He's a firefighter paramedic, so he's used to cooking for like loads of people. And in fact, he left me some leftovers last night. But if I didn't schedule that food to be delivered, or if I was just like, oh, I'll just like grab something here and there, I wouldn't eat, because I am so busy, and I have to like remind myself, okay, like now is the time that I need to eat. I use, supplements as well. So I always have a shake for breakfast in the morning. So for me, that's super easy. Like, I'm not going to cook anything. I'm going to be like, yep, no problem. I'm going to have my shake. That's done. I got amazing results on the products. And then I'll have like a mid-morning snack, which sometimes the meal delivery company, it has like, some maybe tofu scramble or something. So I'll eat that. And then whatever else the meals that they have provided. But always making sure that I have like healthy snacks in the fridge are like, chocolate is my lover. I will demolish, like I can just eat it constantly. So if I don't buy it, it's not going to be in my house. But I think you definitely have to prepare with food, and you need to get yourself into a system. So if you don't absolutely love cooking, either love it and just figure it out, or go and find somewhere where you can actually get meals delivered to you so that you can keep yourself on track. Like, figure out the way that it's going to schedule into your life and work for you.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, you would think home delivery prepared meals would actually be more expensive than preparing at home or going out to eat. But actually, it ends up way more cost effective. And it's kind of surprising, because you think it's like a luxury. I'm getting these meals delivered, and I'm actually getting, I think this Wednesday, I'm getting something prepared from Nutrition for Longevity. And I'm excited to try it, because I agree. I'm like you. I'm so busy in my day. So if I don't prepare something, or if it's up to me, because again, my boyfriend as well is a really good cook and he cooks a lot. If it's up to me, I'm just going to put a salad together or a smoothie, something simple, because I want to maximize my time. So I think home delivery or prepared meals, meal prepping is great if you have that structure to prep some meals. So I agree. Well, so you also have a 30-day plan in here. I would love to know, what can people expect from this? Since I know a lot of people probably want to grab this book after. What can they expect in this 30-day plan?
Yeah, so the 30-day plan is basically an extension of our app. So it's a great introduction to workouts and how our app is structured. It doesn't have all of the amazing features of the app, obviously, and we're always improving that. But yeah, the 30-day program is going to have a daily workout every day. It's a 28-minute workout with a warm-up and cool down. And every single day we do a different body part, or we do a different type of exercise. So I have stuff like body weight, weights, Pilates, yoga, HIIT training, cardio. We've got the whole spectrum. And then every week, we have a rest day, which is like a meditation, or it's a relaxing or stretching session that we do, on the 7th day. And so you're also going to get a meal plan as well through that. So you're going to get a whole ton of recipes, what to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a whole bunch of snack ideas as well. And so it's just a really nice introduction into, if you wanted to then join our community, our BTES app. It also has daily tasks in there as well, which are on the which are also in the book. So you can actually get an electronic version of the 30-day plan. So you can actually follow along on your book. You can follow along with the workout exercises names if you want to, which are in the book, or if you want to then take it on and actually watch the full video, we have that as well access. So once you open up your book, you'll get a code inside with the link, and you'll be able to add that in, and you'll be able to access the 30-day program.
It sounds so amazing. So obviously I am really pumped about sharing this book, and we just talked a little bit about it, but there's so much goodness in this. And of course the program that you have, the 4-hour program on, and it takes grit is what it's called.
It's called I've Got Grit. So we're just
I've Got Grit.
empowering them to find their grit.
Amazing. So that's September 12th. So there is still time left to get tickets for that. I'll be sharing it in the show notes, but where can people best find you?
Yep, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Rebecca Louise Fitness, my YouTube channel, Rebecca Louise. If we're also giving away another free 30-day program as well. If you don't have the book, you can just go to rebecca-louise.com, add in your email, and we'll give you daily emails as well with a little bit of motivation. So recipes, blogs, podcasts, and your daily workout as well. So loads of things that we have for you.
So much. It's so good. Well, I've already asked you the normal questions I ask each guest, but if I were to ask you, what legacy do you want to leave? What would that be?
The legacy I want to leave is that a community that is still going on, that is still empowering each other. We've created an amazing group of women, and we have some guys as well with our BTES app and our hashtag BTS girls. And I just feel like I want them to keep that going with their generation. It's like, hey, yes, Rebecca created this, but we grew it. Like we grew it and we developed it. When I'm gone, I want people to have just evolved even more from something that they learned from me, but then also other things that they're learning, as life goes on, and to progress that they're actually giving on to their children. So I think a legacy of, our community rising up together and bringing more people into it and helping the next generation would be amazing.
I love it. Yes. And you're definitely serving that. Most definitely. You're living that in so many different ways. So thank you so much, Rebecca Louise. I am just so honored to have you on today. And I cannot wait to do this September 12th. So everybody go check out the show notes and grab your tickets, get the last spots, get her book, and go check out everything she does. She has a podcast. She shares nutrition, of course, your app. I mean, there's so much, as she mentioned. So thank you again, Rebecca. I appreciate you, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.